To everyone in this community who keeps coming back, who shares what resonates, who leaves something real in the comments, thank you. From a genuinely full place, thank you. I carry what you write into every reading. It shapes the energy I bring. And to those who are here for the first time today, I want you to know something before we begin. You did not click on this title by accident. Something in you already knows what this reading is about to confirm. And I want you to stay with that knowing, stay open inside it for every word of what follows. Because today, someone cannot get you out of their head. And they have been trying. I am going to start somewhere different today. Not with an image, not with a scene or a figure or a symbol, with a feeling. Because what is coming through in this energy is so visceral, so immediate, so rooted in the body rather than the mind, that starting anywhere else would be the wrong entry point. What I am holding right now, what is pressing against the edges of this reading before I have even fully opened it, is want. Raw, relentless, slightly overwhelming want, and it is not yours. It belongs to someone else entirely. Someone who is moving through their days right now with a particular kind of restlessness that they cannot fully explain and cannot fully shake. A restlessness that has your name written through the center of it, even when they are doing everything in their power to think about something, anything else. They felt something the moment they encountered you, not gradually. Not after careful consideration, immediately, like a recognition that happened faster than thought. Like something in them responded to something in you before either of you had exchanged a single word or a single look. And the response has not quieted since. Let me describe what I am seeing now, because the images are coming in fast and I want to capture them accurately. I see a figure in motion, not walking calmly, moving the way a person moves when they are trying to outpace something internal. Quick, slightly distracted, the kind of movement that looks purposeful from the outside but is actually just the body's response to a mind that will not settle. And every few moments, this figure pauses, mid-step, mid-thought, as though something snagged them from the inside. The thought of you arrives without warning and without invitation and with a completeness that stops them mid whatever they were doing. Not a vague impression, not a general awareness, something specific, the particular way you said something, or the way you looked in a certain light, or the quality of your attention when you were listening, or the way you laughed, or the way you did not laugh when everyone else did. Something specific about you that lodged itself inside them and refuses to be dislodged. And they have tried, not because they do not want you, but because the intensity of what they are feeling has surprised them in a way that is slightly destabilizing. Because wanting someone this much, this fast, this completely is not a comfortable experience. It removes a certain amount of control. It makes a person feel exposed in ways they are not necessarily used to feeling exposed. And this person, in particular, is someone who is accustomed to a certain amount of control over their own inner landscape. I want to describe another image because it tells me something important about the quality of what this person is experiencing. I see a fire, not a large dramatic fire, something smaller and more contained than that. The kind that burns in an enclosed space, steady and consistent, that does not blaze wildly but does not go out either. And what is striking about this fire in the image is that it is burning without being fed. No one is tending it. No one is adding to it. It is simply continuing on its own, sustained by something internal rather than anything external. That is what their feeling for you is like. It is not being actively encouraged. You have not been pursuing them, not been performing for them, not been doing the particular kind of work that people sometimes do when they are trying to create or maintain attraction in another person. You have simply been yourself, moving through your life with your particular energy, your particular quality of presence, your particular way of occupying a room or a conversation or a silence. And that on its own, without any additional effort on your part, has been enough to keep this fire burning consistently. That is not a small thing. That is actually everything. Because attraction that sustains itself without being fed, that continues without being chased or performed into existence, that burns steadily through ordinary time and ordinary distance on nothing but the genuine impression of who you actually are. That is the real kind. I want to talk about you for a moment, about what you carry that creates this effect. Because Virgo, I think you genuinely do not fully understand what you do to people. And I do not mean that in the way it is sometimes said, as a flattering observation without real content. I mean it specifically and practically. There is a quality in the way you engage with the world around you that is rarer than you know. A combination of things that does not often appear together in a single person. You are precise without being cold. You notice things, small things, the things that most people move past without registering. And when you notice them, when you respond to them, when you reflect back to someone that you actually saw what they just did or said or felt, the effect on that person is profound. Because being truly seen, being seen in the specific and not just the general, is one of the deepest human hungers, and you satisfy it almost without trying. At the same time, there is something about you that remains slightly unreachable, not in a calculating way, not as a strategy, but naturally, authentically, as part of the fundamental texture of who you are, a depth that reveals itself slowly, a quality of interiority that suggests there is always more beneath the surface than what has been shown. And that suggestion, that sense of a depth not yet fully accessed, is one of the most compelling things one human being can experience in another. The person who is craving you right now is caught in exactly this. They have seen enough to know that what they have seen is extraordinary, and they have seen just enough to understand that they have not seen everything. There is another image coming through now, and it is one of the most striking in this entire reading. I see two objects placed near each other on a surface. They are not touching. There is space between them, a deliberate space, the kind that exists not because there is no pull between the two things, but precisely because the pull is so strong that maintaining the distance requires a kind of active resistance. And in the air between these two objects, in that charged and deliberate space, there is something almost visible, a quality of tension that is not uncomfortable, but is completely impossible to ignore. That space between the two objects is the current distance between you and this person. And what I want you to understand about this image is that the distance is not neutral. It is not empty. It is full of everything that has not yet been said, everything that has not yet happened, everything that is building between you in the absence of resolution. Every day that passes without the distance closing is a day in which what they feel for you intensifies rather than diminishes. Absence is not cooling this. Distance is not providing relief. If anything, the space between you is functioning like a pressure system, building steadily. And at a certain point, pressure systems resolve themselves, not through patience or planning, but through the simple physics of what happens when something builds beyond what containment can hold. I want to pause here and speak to those of you who are not entirely sure who this person is, who are listening to this and feeling the resonance of it, but cannot immediately land on a face or a name, who sense that what is being described is real, but are not yet clear about the specific source of it. That is completely valid, and I want to address it directly. Sometimes the person whose energy is most powerfully directed toward you is not the one you are spending the most mental energy on. Sometimes it is not the relationship that occupies the foreground of your awareness. Sometimes it is someone who has been present in a quieter way, whose feeling for you has been building in a space you have not been fully attending to because your attention was occupied elsewhere. Pay attention to the periphery. In the coming days, in ordinary interactions, in exchanges that might initially seem unremarkable, notice who notices you. Notice who tracks you with more attention than the situation technically requires. Notice who responds to something small you said or did with a warmth or a specificity that suggests they have been paying considerably more attention than you realized. The craving I am describing in this reading may be arriving from a direction you were not fully expecting. And tell me in the comments if someone specific is coming to mind as you hear this. Tell me who surfaced. I want to know if this is landing the way I feel it is landing. Let me come back to the fire image for a moment because there is something in it I did not finish describing. I said the fire is burning without being fed, sustained by something internal, continuing on the genuine impression of who you are rather than any performance or pursuit on your part. And now I want to tell you what I see at the edges of that fire. I see this person leaning toward it, not yet touching it, not yet having crossed whatever internal threshold stands between feeling something this intensely and acting on it, but oriented toward it in a way that has become increasingly difficult to maintain as a purely internal experience. The wanting is becoming too large to continue living entirely inside. It is beginning to press outward, to look for expression, to move tentatively and then less tentatively in the direction of the thing it cannot stop returning to. You are going to feel this movement. If you have not already begun to feel it in small ways, in slight shifts in how this person shows up in your awareness or in your actual life, you are going to begin feeling it. The energy that has been building on their side of that charged and deliberate distance is starting to move in a direction that will be impossible to misread. And when it does, I want you to be ready to receive it without deflecting it, because that is the specific invitation of this reading for you, Virgo. Not to pursue, not to perform, not to manage or calibrate or make yourself more available in some strategic way. Simply to be willing to receive what is coming without the reflex to minimize it or question it into neutrality before it has had the chance to become what it is trying to become. You have a particular way, and I say this with genuine affection, of receiving something beautiful and immediately subjecting it to a level of scrutiny that would challenge the structural integrity of almost anything. Of taking a feeling that is being offered to you clearly and sincerely and turning it over and over, looking for the flaw, looking for the catch, looking for the reason it cannot possibly be as real or as good as it appears. What I am asking you to consider, just for now, just in this window of what is arriving, is the possibility that it is exactly as real as it appears, that someone is genuinely, completely, slightly, overwhelmingly in love with you. that the craving is not a performance, not a tactic, not something that will evaporate the moment you respond to it, that it is simply, straightforwardly true, and that you deserve to receive something true without immediately building a case against it. I want to describe one final image because it is the one that has been waiting at the very center of this reading since the moment I began, and I have been saving it because I think it belongs here at the end where it can land with its full weight. I see a person standing in front of you, not at a distance, close, close enough that the quality of their attention is unmistakable and the feeling they carry toward you is something you can feel without them having to say a word. And the expression on their face is not the practiced, managed, socially calibrated expression of someone presenting themselves carefully. It is open, completely, almost vulnerably open. The face of someone who has stopped trying to contain what they feel because containing it has become genuinely impossible. Who is standing in front of you, not with a prepared speech or a strategic approach, but simply with the full, unmanaged, slightly terrifying reality of how much they want you. And in this image, you are not backing away. You are not scanning the situation for danger. You are not composing the internal argument against allowing this to be real. You are simply standing there in the full and undiminished reality of who you are, letting yourself be seen, seeing them. That is the moment this is building toward. That is what the craving on their side and the quiet, sometimes unacknowledged readiness on your side have been moving toward together. Two people, full presence, no performance, no protection that costs more than it saves. Just this. Virgo, you are someone who is deeply, specifically, completely worth craving. Not in an abstract, everyone has value way, in the particular and irreplaceable way that belongs only to you. The way your mind works, the way your presence lands, the way you love when you actually let yourself love, with a precision and a devotion and a quality of full attention that most people spend their entire lives hoping to be on the receiving end of. Someone has felt that. Someone has felt the edges of what you are capable of and has not been able to think about much else since. Let that be real. Let it land in you without immediately dismantling it. You have spent long enough being careful, long enough protecting yourself from the full size of what you deserve to receive. This is yours. Let it be yours. If this reading touched something today, if it named something you have been feeling, but could not quite hold clearly enough to examine, leave me a comment. Tell me what surfaced. Tell me who came to mind. Tell me if you felt it, that particular quality of being wanted that this reading has been circling from the very beginning. I am here. I read everything. And I am grateful, genuinely, for every one of you who trusts this space with the real parts of what you are moving through. I will see you in the next one.